Hello, Jim Ford here, back with another installment on Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg. Last time we went over some of his leadership styles, but this time we're going to talk about how he uses those leadership styles to make some decisions at the company. The employees will also give us some first-hand information about the politics within the company. They should have some good knowledge to share from their experiences. And finally, we will have a nice little segment about some of the statistics of Facebook. So now let's begin the interviews with Yao, Dan Adamonis, and Leticia Barron. I have Leticia Barron here, who was with us last time and told us about how she is a product developer and she's been at Facebook for 3 years. And she's here to tell us a little bit about Mark Zuckerberg's decision making. How are you, Leticia?
I'm good, thanks.
What are some key decisions that Mark Zuckerberg has made regarding Facebook?
I think that the most important decision he's probably made was probably when he decided not to sell Facebook to Yahoo for under $1 billion. That's probably why Facebook is where they are today. So I think that's probably one of the most important decisions he probably made.
Do you think that there was a lot of political activity within the organization in the early days of Facebook?
Yeah, I think it started when Mark Zuckerberg was debating whether to go back to college full-time, but he was talked out of it by some friends, and he almost gave up board control to some investors, but he was also talked out of it as well. So I think that as far as politics go, like a lot of people influenced him in the early days of Facebook. Like he surrounded himself with experienced people, and that's probably how he was influenced by like the people, and there's a lot of political activity going on in the early days of Facebook.
How would you rate Mark Zuckerberg's decision making in terms of effectiveness?
I think that they could be both ineffective and effective. Like first, he decides to surround himself by the right people. You know, he talks to like experienced people who's been in that same field and have been in the same situations. But also like when he decided not to sell Facebook to Yahoo, that was a choice that he made by himself. And usually like he tends to think very rationally and logically. That was kind of like a non-programmed decision that he had to make, and it was kind of more intuitive than anything else. But he also can make choices that are ineffective. Like he just made a blog post admitting that Facebook's made a few mistakes regarding like their privacy model, and they've been sentenced to like 20 years of privacy audits. So every time that they go against a privacy audit, they get fined like $16,000. But they're looking to improve that situation. So the first thing he's done is admit that there's a problem, and now he's looking to improve the situation.
Some tough decisions being made at Facebook. Dan Adamonis is here to tell us about some of the numbers of Facebook. He's worked in the human resources department there for a couple of years now. How you doing, Dan?
Pretty good.
How large is Facebook's board of directors?
Facebook's board of directors is 7 people, which is an average-sized board, and the average age of the members on the board is 48. Zuckerberg's the youngest; he's 27, and then the oldest is 66 on the board, I think. So.
What is the estimated net worth of Facebook?
Its net worth is about $100 billion. So it's, I mean, pretty large company.
Yeah. How does Facebook's performance link to Zuckerberg?
Well, it's grown substantially over the past couple of years, and this is due to like their private investors. They have about 500 private investors, and according to U.S. law, that means that the company has to go public and disclose certain financial information. So they're looking to do that coming up in about June of 2012, I think. And Zuckerberg, he never really wanted to go public, but because it's growing so large, he's going to have to go public. And I mean, he doesn't really focus on the money, so he owns about 24% of the company, which, I mean, it shows you he's looking more for the prosperity of the company and wants to further the site rather than make money off of it. But he also wanted to wait to go public because he wants his employees to focus on the development of the site rather than just work for a buyout. So, good stuff there.
All right. Mark Zuckerberg is the key over at Facebook. We have Yao here to talk about influence and power at Facebook. Yao's a worker at Facebook, and he is also Mark Zuckerberg's future brother-in-law. How you doing, Yao?
Yeah, pretty good. How are you?
Good. What source of power do you think Mark appears to possess?
I think the personal power and the reward power are the symbol of Mark. And for the personal power, there's an example. As we all know, we were trying to develop the Asia market in the last whole year. And especially for the Chinese market, it's a big problem for us to open that market. And at a moment, we were all giving up because the government was difficult to negotiate. But just Mark, he's a guy with a strong personal style, and he went to China by himself and negotiate with the government, the local organization, and persuade them to let us open the market for that. And he gives us the courage to develop our business. And for the reward power, that's a big thing. And I think you maybe heard about the big reward from our company.
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot about how well the employees are.
Yes, like the Mark always reward the employees. If you do good, if you contribute more and more to the company, he will use the stocks of the company even more and more to reward you, to encourage you to do more. So that's why our company is being better and better.
Tell me about Mark's influence tactics. What does he like to use?
I think the passionate is the most effective part of Mark. Mark is 27 years old, full of energy. He's trying to attend in or involve in every decisions, every activities, every part of the company. There's a funny thing that you may be like. I still remember one day that some employees were throwing a competition of the speed of the programming, and Mark just was passing through, and he was good at computer when he was in college, but after so many years, his skills of programming was backing behind maybe all of the employees, but he was still loving. He still liked to attend in it. He doesn't care he lose the game. He doesn't care, we maybe do some joke on him. He just want to involve of the company, be like employees.
What is Mr. Zuckerberg's opinion on organizational politics?
He encouraged the organizational politics. He always tell us that the internet, the social network is developing with unbelievably speed. That you can imagine how the internet, the social network will be tomorrow. So you can't follow the trend. You need to make the trend. Make the trend follows you. So he tells us. So that's our ideal kind. That's how we do the organizational politics.
Thanks, yeah. In the first part of our project, we talked about Mark Zuckerberg's personalities and his values on the wiki page. And then that kind of carried over to the second part, and we saw how those personalities and the values that he has were reflected in his leadership style. And then in the third part, we saw how those leadership styles, which come from the personalities and the values, came into his decision making and the power balance that he uses at Facebook. And while we've learned a lot about Mark Zuckerberg, he's a very complex guy, and he's only 27, and with Facebook just planning their IPO now, he still has a long career ahead of him, so there's a lot to be seen.